All right. Hey, what's up, crypto friends? In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I find 10x winners in the cryptocurrency space. All right. This video applies from the time that Bitcoin is still under $20,000. All right. Meaning it's still ranging and it's still consolidating. And so during this time period, it's very important to note that it's different the way we trade the markets in a trending or a sideways trending market as opposed to a bull market, right? When everything's just going up. That's going to be a different video for another time. But as of right now, I'm going to show you guys how I like to scan to look for coins that are going to perform really well. For example, maybe this week or this month. All right, so let's begin. So the tools that you need to get started is an exchange, right? So the exchange that you like to trade on, and also, of course, TradingView, right? This is where you can chart all your favorite coins. So I'll link that in the description below. But let's go back to our exchange. The exchange that I like to utilize and have been utilizing for a while now is Binance, as you guys know, right? This is one of my favorite exchanges. And one really neat thing that Binance has is this coin, I guess you could say percentage, it lets you indicate what coins and how they perform within the last 24 hours, right? So what I like to press is this view more markets buttons right here in the bottom. And at this point, you're going to be presented with pretty much every coin in the market that Binance has to offer, which is hundreds of tokens. What I'd like to do then is change my settings, right? So as you can see right here, I'm on USD markets, but I like to filter that a little bit more, so let's filter that to USDT, right? Because I do trade with USDT pairings. And so now it's just going to show me all the coins that are on USDT. The last and most important step that I like to check is the one that says 24-hour change. And I like to press that twice. And as you can see right here, it tells me what is the highest performing coins within the last 24 hours. All right. So again, this might have just been really quick, very confusing. Rewatch this step a couple times because this is going to be like the meat of it. Okay. So let me just review that one more time. So once you hit on the main page, right? So this is the first page. You go down to where it says view more markets. You then filter it. And again, I change that to USDT. And then I double click on this because now it's going to present me the highest performing crypto within the last 24 hours. And as you can see right here, the best performing crypto within the last 24 hours is a coin called Cocos, right? So I actually already kind of went back earlier in and kind of checked out the coin. But as you can see, I'm already pretty liking this quite a bit actually. All right. But let's pull it up on TradingView, right? So let's go right here on top left-hand corner and let's type in Cocos. As you can see right here, it's the first one that pops up. Again, USDT pairing. And right away, the first thing that I like to do is always look at higher time frames, specifically the 4 hourly. So let's pull up the 4 hourly. And right away, this is already giving me a really good indication that this is going to be a good performing coin. The reason I say that is because one, right? So let me actually zoom this in a little bit. Is because one, it already broke its bear trend, right? So this right here was essentially its bear market, meaning that it hasn't been able to break out of this. But now it's already showing signs that it broke out of this and then it consolidated. And lastly, it's also above its 200 exponential moving average. Okay, so that to me is always very key in terms of trending coins, is that they always have to be above that 200 exponential moving average on the 4 hourly. And you'll find examples of this all the time. Let's say, for example, a Bitcoin was like Link, right? Link, for example. All right, so let's go into Link. Let's go back to when it first 10x'd earlier this year. Notice that the moment that Link went above and beyond the 4 hourly right here, it started trending upwards, right? And after a few periods of, it was below it, but for the most part, it was always above that 4 hourly. And so to me, that 4 hour just signifies, uptrending coins, right? That are going to begin to uptrend or possibly, have some momentum going. So that's what I like about Cocos right now. So again, we broke its bear trend, right? So this downward line right here. So that to me is always a good sign. Secondly, we're above that 200 exponential moving average now. And thirdly, of course, it is a high performing coin right now because it is it just performed over 18%. Lastly, one thing that I always like to look at is volume. All right, and that to me is always very important. How many buyers and sellers there are during a given period of time. And one thing that right away that I noticed is that there's about close to around 3 million in USDT volume, which is really good. Typically, I never like to trade a coin with that under $1 million, just because it can be a little tricky. So for me, I like to look at anywhere from $1 million to $2 million average. So the fact that we're hitting almost $3 million is a very good sign. I like that a lot. Okay. If we pull up an example of a coin that looks just like this, it was actually Chili's, right? Chili's actually, if you notice right here, it looks like it's almost quite identical, really. You know, it had a break in its downtrend, consolidation, and then it quickly performed very well. So I do think that's right away that Cocos could perform similarly like the way that Chili's did. So let's go back to Cocos. And so now the question is, do I FOMO in? Do I just buy in at this price because I think it's going to perform? Not exactly. One thing I always talk about is structure, all right? I always like to look for either consolidating wedges or some form of signal that tells me, hey, this is going to be a really good buy-in area. And as right now, if you look at the RSI on the 4 hourly, it is tipping that scale that it is a little bit overbought, meaning that there's just too many people that have already bought into this coin within the last 24 hours. So what I want to wait out for is some resolution. Okay, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that I want to wait for this coin to maybe consolidate and perhaps retest this 200 exponential moving average. That way I can get a little bit more peace of mind that I'm not buying the top, right? And that it is going to hold that price within this area. And so that way we can probably assume that it's going to end up continuing to pump. So as right now, if we do estimate our risk, as right now, if we're able to buy in closer around that 200 exponential moving average, that would leave us with a really good, maybe anywhere from a 2 to 4% risk, which really isn't that bad, and a possible upside of about 142%, right? So that's a pretty good risk to reward management, and that's something you always want to risk. You always want to calculate is your risk to reward management. Okay, so far this already hits all the criterias, right? Break from its downtrend, huge volume, a nice solid candlestick, and also from its 200 exponential moving average, right? It's already above that 4 hour 200 exponential moving average. The last criteria that we have to meet now is that if we can hold and consolidate above it, right? It has to hold this level. And if we can do so, I believe that this could be a really good performing coin within the next possibly week or so, right? So within now and the next week. So I'll keep an eye on this one. And what I always like to do is keep it on my watch list, right? So let's add this right away into our watch list. And there we go. Now it's on our watch list. And now we can keep that in mind, keep watching that for the next couple of days, and we can move on to the next one, right? So similar what we talked about, right? So now we're back at our main page on Binance. Let's go into view more markets, and let's go into USDT, right? Again, because I trade with USDT pairings. And again, let's double click on this. All right, so Cocos. The next one is showing band, right? So let's take a look at band. How is that looking? All right, so band is actually showing pretty decent. All right, so let's pull it up again on our trading view. All right, Tether. So band is still showing signs that it hasn't broken out of its downtrend, right? So if you actually kind of estimate, all right, there's no perfect bear trend, that we can see, but it doesn't look like it's giving us a signal that this is imminent buy just yet. So I wouldn't necessarily trade band, or would be interested in buying this. As you can see, the 200 exponential moving average is still way up here, right? So I'd say that maybe in a few more weeks, band could still perform, right? So we could probably see some more consolidation, and then eventually we can get a nice reaction. But for now, I'm not interested in this. Even though it did perform 8% within the last 8 hours, it still doesn't tell me anything that says, hey, this is going to go up from here. So I'm not going to buy into band just yet. Let's do one more. Maybe we might find something that appeals to us. All right. Link, I've already seen Link, and all right, so here's a pretty good example of coins not to buy. My personal opinion. Again, my personal opinion. All right. So Blink has been doing really well, and I know this because I've been following it. It's actually in my my watch list, and I've been following it for the past couple of days now. But the reason I'm not interested in Link again is because it is already way too high up at this point. You know, from its lowest points in September, it's already up over 80%, guys. All right. And so when a coin's already ran up that much higher, and especially with the market cap that Link holds, you know, Link's at close to around 600 million, maybe more, I think, close to $1 billion almost at this point. It doesn't really offer that much upside. So I don't think that Link's going to perform really well within the next couple of days. I think, in fact, this might be its local top. And again, I could be totally wrong, but this is just the way I like to play the markets, right? With really good risk management. And so as of right now, my risk management's telling me that this just isn't a good opportunity to buy unless it's able to break all-time highs, which I just don't see it happening anytime soon. So I personally would not buy into something like this just because it's already, again, way too high. Even though it is, yes, showing signs that this is a top performer within the last 24 hours, I personally just wouldn't jump into something like this. So again, you always have to just look at the overall chart and look at what it's doing. And so you want to be like almost right in the middle, right? Where you're not necessarily catching its bottom, but rather you're catching its uptrend. But early on, right? You're doing it early on. If you do it too late, you could be catching its top. All right. So this is why I like to check on the markets daily, you know, to see what's just starting to pump, what's starting to go. You know, if we can catch its momentum, we're able to make a lot of money that way. So again, this is, I think right now, Cocos does meet my criteria. So I'm definitely going to keep watching this one for the next couple of days to see how it resolves. And if we can get a nice flagging wedge or some nice consolidation, or even just an uptrend, right? We start uptrending, then I will definitely hop into this one. So anyways, I hope this wasn't too complicated, guys. I like to make my videos as simple as possible. If you have any questions, be sure to ask down in the description below, and I will get to you guys as soon as possible. All right. And lastly, I'll leave you guys with this one. Be sure to check our Facebook group out. Again, links going to be in the description below for that, but it is the cryptocurrency traders group. All right. Again, links going to be in the description. Check it out. And we're constantly growing. Yesterday, I did go live here. I did talk about a little bit of some altcoins, Bitcoin as well. And I'm always constantly posting my profits, current trades, and just overall how I feel about the market, right? So if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. Link's going to be in the description below. Lastly, make sure to like, subscribe, guys. It helps me out a ton. All right, I'll leave you with that one. And of course, I'll see you on the next one.